And welcome, sports fans, to today's Roundtable. Glad you joined us. We had an action-packed night last night with some high school football in the area. Plenty that we brought to you here on YHC on our network. And we'll get to those games momentarily and also give you highlights of that Kennett-Dexter broadcast we had last night. Great game that got away late for a big win for Kennett. We'll get that to the moment in a moment. Also, we're going to touch on some headlines from the night and the week as well, and also touch on updated state rankings. We now got a second poll out this week, coming off the first poll of the season last week for Missouri high school football state rankings, and also we'll touch on the district football standings. We're late into the year now, only a couple of weeks remaining on the regular season schedule, and the seedings are really starting to take form in the district standings. So we're going to take a look at the current point totals after this last Friday night, after last night's games, and it is very interesting in some of these districts, as we talked about last week, and we'll touch on those as well, and give you a heads up on our broadcast schedule going forward over the next few weeks. So let's get into the games that get into the scores from last night in the area. And first, the game that we brought to you live last night, Kennett over Dexter big, 50-13. No problem for the Kennett Indians last night as they extend their undefeated season to 7-0 with that victory at Charles Bland Stadium last night in Dexter. And a great outing for the Kennett Indians once again this week. And let's go ahead and go to the highlights from last night, starting off here early. And Dexter got off to a nice start here early on, but some good defense from Kennett, getting a sack on All Day deep in the backfield. And Kennett's first offensive possession, nice handoff here. Jarrett getting some good yardage along the left side. And was here a quick kick out. Nice defense by the Bearcats, keeping the Kennett Indians to a short gain. And here on the next possession for the Bearcats, Ryan Collier finds his way down the sideline, wide open. All Day connects with him on a long score to get the Bearcats on the board first for the evening. And we see here Kennett answering with a nice run here, and a touchdown for the Indians. And they missed the extra point, but it's 7-6 Dexter here early on. And going into the second quarter now, Dexter has a lead 7-6 into the second quarter. And nice defense here from the Bearcats on the sweep there, the jet sweep that was stopped. But here a nice throw down the field, and a nice reception there for Kennett. Here we see a nice little screen pass, moving the ball up for the Bearcats. But here a nice grab down by Stewart, nabbing that on a third down play to extend the drive for the Indians. And a few plays later, Jordan Jarrett takes the run to the house. Big long run for the Indians there. Dexter gets the ball back at a blocked punt right at the 1 yard line for the Indians. But here they turn it right back over. Dexter with a nice interception and return it. And Dexter on their next play here, All Day drops back, looking for a slant pattern, and just out of the reach, couldn't haul it in, and turned over. Kennett gets the ball right back on the next play, and we see here a nice run for the first down, setting up first and goal for the Indians. And we see here a nice little inside handoff, and running in for the touchdown, and a nice run there. I think that was Stewart on that carry. And we see here a nice run, Jordan Jarrett extending that play all the way to the end zone for another score. And we see here Brooks Niggett finding his way down the field for a long pass play from Bodie Ellis for the touchdown. A nice touchdown reception there by Niggett. And here we see Dexter trying to get some things going here in the third quarter, down big at this point, 35-7, needing to move the ball, but Kennett gets the ball back. And we see here Bodie Ellis making a great leap there, getting the first down. And just moments later, Dexter getting the ball back deep. The punt was down at the 1 yard line. They forced the safety, so it's 37-7 Kennett off of the safety, and they get the ball back. And here we see some nice running here, and actually turned over right there. Bodie Ellis coughing the ball up on a tackle. Dexter gets the ball back here All Day with a nice first down run to extend the drive. And here All Day looking across the middle, nice completion, and here into the mid-fourth here. Alday finds the end zone with the run, getting 13 points on the board for the Bearcats. And we see here is a nice spin move to extend the drive on for Jordan Jarrett with that first down. And we see here Jarrett with another run and a score, making it 43-13 at this point. And we see here a fumble right into the hands of Kennett defensive lineman there, so they secure that fumble, and Jordan Jarrett takes it in for another score, and that's your game right there. The Kennett Indians on top of the Dexter Bearcats, 50-13. Another decisive victory for the Kennett Indians, and great efforts on both sides. It was a pretty close game. It was 7-6 Dexter going into the second quarter. Kennett got off to a slow start. Dexter had that big play to Ryan Collier to really get the momentum started for the Bearcats, but the second half surely went Kennett's way. They really opened up in the second half and pulled away with a decisive victory to go 7-0 on the season. And other games in the area, and the game that we brought to you live on YHCTV.com on our YouTube page Friday night, it was Piggott over Water Ridge, big 60-28, and another big victory for the Piggott Mohawks. Another 3A3 conference victory, so Piggott's now, I think, 2-1 in the conference. Looking really good so far. Got a big one next week with Hoxie, which we'll talk about a little later. But congratulations to Piggott. A nice victory last night. You can catch that replay. We'll talk about that in a moment as well. And in other games in the area, we've got Scott City over Chaffee, 41-6. Scott City with a nice victory. Potosi over Sykeston, 39-25. Also, we have Portageville over Malden. Portageville getting another victory. They got a victory over Chaffee, I think it was last week, and then another victory Friday evening over Malden, 24-14. Hayti over Kelly, pretty competitive game here. Hayty's been blowing the doors off of teams so far this year, especially with offensive numbers, scoring as high as 60 points. But not on the Kelly Hawks. Kelly's had a fine year, and playing within 20 points and keeping Hayti under 40 points is quite a task. And they did that last night, but Hayti rolls to another victory, looking really good once again this year in that Class 1. That Class 1's a little weaker this year with Valley Catholic out of there, so you got to look out for the Indians to potentially make a nice run in Class 1, District 1, and potentially even into the Class 1 state tournament in probably around a month. So we'll see what happens there. But Hayti defeats Kelly. Kelly, one of the top small schools in the area this year, played Hayti competitive last night, but Hayti pulling out that victory over the Kelly Hawks. Valley Catholic getting a decisive victory over New Madrid County Central, 62-18. And that's a big number there for Valley Catholic. A strong performance over a talented New Madrid team, certainly an offensive talented team. We saw them last week with Kennett putting up over 20 points against the Kennett Indians, and it's quite a feat to hold the Eagles under 20 points with that offensive weaponry they've got. And Valley just looking really good so far this year. Another victory last night over New Madrid. And we got Donovan over Crothersville in overtime. This going in overtime, Donovan gets their first win of the year over Crothersville, and Donovan gets a win on the board. Crothersville back in action for the first time in over 3 weeks. They've missed 3 weeks of action due to their numbers being down with their roster, some kids being out with the contract tracing precaution, and really affected their football roster over the last 3 weeks. So they've been out of action for a good while. But Donovan gets their first victory of the year over Crothersville. Jackson defeating Farmington, no problem, 55-14. The Jackson Indians over the Farmington Knights, looking really strong once again for the Jackson Indians. And Poplar Bluff over Cape Central, 50-27. A decisive victory for the Mules. They had the week off last week. I think they had a matchup with Rolla that was canceled. So Poplar Bluff coming back strong this week with a decisive victory over Cape Central. And we got Park Hill Central over Fredericktown. Is that 61? Yeah, 61-7. So Park Hill is getting a big victory over Fredericktown. Now the games that we brought to you last night, you can watch those over the weekend here on YHC. Watch that replay of Kennett and Dexter Saturday at noon. and Sunday at 4. Saturday at noon, Sunday at 4. You can go watch it anytime on our website at yhctv.com or even our YouTube and Facebook pages on demand there online. And watch Kennett's big victory over Dexter there. And then we'll have Walnut Ridge versus Piggott. We'll have that replay Saturday at 6 p.m., Sunday at 7, and also again Tuesday evening at 6:30. And also you can go watch that at yhctv.com. We'll have the produced version up later on here on Saturday, and watch it there at yhctv.com as well. And we're going to take our first break, and we're going to come back and talk about headlines from the area and some storylines that were made from last night going forward. And we're going to come back and talk about that coming up.
If you or your loved one has disabilities that cause you to need a little help, Boot Hill Area Independent Living Services can provide the assistance you need. At Bales, we want you to have control of your life and assist you in thriving in an independent lifestyle. The Consumer-Directed Services Program allows you, the consumer, to choose who assists you in conducting your daily activities. Bales serves Stoddard, Dunklin, New Madrid, and Pemiscot counties. Call or visit our office in Kennett to see how we can help you maintain your independence.
Coming soon, the Harry Blackwell family of dealers will launch the future of automotive buying in Southeast Missouri.
And welcome back, and now let's take a look at some storylines from last night to move forward, going forward in high school football. Taking a look at some of the storylines from last night. Again, Kennett with another victory over Dexter, moving to 7-0, but even bigger than that, they win the SEMO South Conference Championship with that victory over Dexter last night. So Kennett with another conference championship, their fourth straight SEMO South title. A great run by Coach Joel Wyatt, and the Kennett Indians, and look really strong going forward. And a big night for Jordan Jarrett, 263 rushing yards on the night, including 5 touchdown scores, and he had only 20 carries on the night, so he had well over 10 yards a carry in that game against Dexter. But another mammoth night from Jordan Jarrett. We've seen him coming for over a year now, going back to last year as a sophomore. You can just see the potential in this young man, and it's really showing himself his potential here this year already, just as a junior this year. And he's off to a great start, and you know he's really shown himself to be one of the finer talents in Southeast Missouri as a tailback and even a defensive back as well. So Jordan Jarrett, another stellar performance last night, 263 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. Great performance from Jordan Jarrett. And also let's touch on hold on here, a little froze up. All right, now let's touch on Poplar Bluff. Poplar Bluff Downs, Cape Central, and nice victory for them after the week off, canceling their game with Rolla. So having the week off last week, coming back with a conference game, getting that win over Cape Central, and sets up a big game next week. Next week at Metz Sherry Stadium in Kennett, it'll be the Poplar Bluff Mules and the Kennett Indians. That's a big matchup, and it's a big matchup for the Indians. We'll talk about in a moment here on just our next storyline that we'll just segue into here shortly, that the district standings in Class 3 District 1 are very competitive amongst those top 3 teams, and Kennett sure needs a victory against Poplar Bluff to at least get the 2 seed, and certainly to keep their chances alive for a number 1 seed for that Class 3 District 1, with Kennett being in the Class 3 classification versus Poplar Bluff being in the Class 5. A win over that Class 5, being 2 classes above Kennett, would certainly help out in the points in those standings. As you beat a bigger school, you really get a lot of help in those points, beating a bigger school in those district standings. That'd do a whole lot for Kennett, as their two remaining games are Poplar Bluff and Sikeston, two bigger schools in Class 5 and Class 4 respectively with those schools. So Kennett's got a chance to really increase their point total with some victories over the next few weeks. So this is probably one of the games of the week, probably the game of the week next week. Right now, looking forward, Poplar Bluff versus Kennett. They haven't been on the schedule with each other. Kennett has really beefed up their schedule, brought on some bigger schools, and Poplar Bluff has been one of those they brought on, and it should be a great matchup in Kennett next week. We won't have that game, unfortunately. Just didn't work out for us with our current broadcast schedule, but we'll be certainly looking forward to that as we see that next week. Poplar Bluff versus Kennett. Can't wait for that one. That should be game of the week for the Southeast Missouri area. And in other news, Doniphan getting their first victory of the year, and it was basically a makeup game. Doniphan had a matchup with, I think it was East Prairie. I think Doniphan had a matchup with East Prairie. East Prairie taking this week off due to some precaution there with a short roster. So Doniphan picks up Crothersville, and Crothersville's been out, I think, 3 straight weeks now. Up until this week, I believe, at least 2, maybe even 3. So Crothersville missed out on, I think it was New Madrid, Hayti, and Dexter. Yeah, they missed out on their games with New Madrid County Central, Hayti, and Dexter over the last 3 weeks. So they've been out for a while. And coming back last night in Doniphan getting the victory at home, going into overtime to get that victory. So Doniphan gets the win. Crothersville probably coming out a little rusty. Haven't played in close to a month in a live game, so might have hurt them a little bit on the road, especially over in Doniphan as well. It's a good haul over there from Crothersville. So, but Doniphan getting a nice victory, getting into the win column last night for the first time. And we'll segue into a topic we introduced last week, and it's really even gotten more interesting this week. St. Mary's out of St. Louis has been added to the Class 3 District 1 since last week. They applied for MSHA. They decided to defer their fall football season to the spring, which the Missouri State High School Activity Association has allowed teams to do, or schools to do, which a lot, certainly in the metro areas, KC, St. Louis, have elected to do that just because they've got so many more restrictions for events and gatherings of, more than a handful of people, that sort of thing. So some schools have elected to move their fall sports, not only just football, but a lot of their fall sports to the spring. St. Mary's did initially enact that to actually move their fall football season to the spring, but they decided to keep their fall schedule and applied with Missouri State High School Activity Association to keep their fall sports season for football in the fall, and MSHA granted that, and they missed their first 6 games, and were back in action last night. They got a victory over St. Louis University High, which is a Class 6 school, and we'll touch on those standings in a moment, but St. Mary's has vaulted all the way to the number 1 seed in the Class 3 District 1 classification just with 1 game, believe it or not. You talk about Kennett being 7-0, but 1 win for St. Mary's vaults them all the way up, largely due to them beating a Class 6 school. I didn't really have all the facts in my possession last week, which I wish I would have. Now learning that you beat a larger school, certainly a Class 6 school, you get, I think, 60 points just by beating a Class 6 school. And certainly there's no Class 6 schools in our area, just up to Class 5, just 2 with Poplar Bluff and Jackson. But, to beat a Class 6 school, it really piles on the points, and then you got all kinds of different metrics, strength of schedule, and that sort of thing that will affect that going forward. But St. Mary's, with 1 game, vaults to number 1 in Class 3 District 1 after 1 game. It's unbelievable. It's totally counterintuitive to just vault to number 1 when Kennett's 7-0, St. Mary's is 1-0, and they're the number 1 team. It's totally counterintuitive, but that remains to be the case. And with that, we talked about it last week, how St. Mary's, I was taking a look at them. Maybe they were going to be seated on the bottom half of that district, maybe 5th, 6th, 7th. That's not the case. They've vaulted all the way up. I was just a little short on the facts when it comes to the formula, which is pretty complicated for those district standings. But St. Mary, well, it was thought that St. Mary's was just going to hold out until the playoffs, so then they would automatically have the 7 seed. But they did plan on starting their season this week and have 3 games on their schedule, so that changed things a bit as well. So they got a chance to actually play and compete in the district to gain a higher seat going forward, actually playing some late season games here. So we'll get to those standings in a moment, but certainly wanted to touch back on that, and we'll touch on it a little bit more once we get into these standings here momentarily. And now let's go to some state rankings. We got another state poll. Last week was the first football state polls that we were able to release to you. And now we've got another week's worth of polls here, and these do not reflect Friday night's games. So these are the polls that were released early in the week coming into last night's games. In Class 1, Mid-Buchanan still on top at number 1. Hayti right behind them at 2. Thayer at number 3. Milan at 4, Windsor, Western, East Buchanan, Marionville, Skyline, and Adrian are the Class 1 state rankings. Now in Class 2, Palmyra is still at number 1, Lamar Falls at number 2, Lutheran St. Charles, St. Pius out of Kansas City, Lafayette County, Butler, Lexington, Clark County, Duchesne, and Monroe City. Now moving down to Class 3, we've got Lutheran North, I believe, are the defending Class 2 state champions, I believe, and they moved up to Class 3, and they are and there's they are one of those teams that have decided to play this week and went to 1-0 last night, and they just vault them up. The media just put them up at number 1, being defending champions, and in Class 2 last year, so they're on top at number 1. Valley Catholic, the defending Class 1 state champion. They're at number 2. They were at number 1 last week when Lutheran North wasn't playing, but now Lutheran North is in. They vault to number 1. Valley Catholic at number 2, still undefeated. Odessa, the defending Class 3 state champion. Last year we saw them take on Kennett in the semifinal round. And Kennett, they are at number 3. So you've got 3 defending state champions, albeit 2 of those in different classifications last year, but 3 defending Class 3 state champion, 3 state defending state champions in the top 3 rankings there for Class 3. You got Lutheran North defending Class 2, Valley Catholic defending Class 1, and Odessa the defending Class 3. Unbelievable how that plays out there. All the defending champions for the bottom 3 classes of Missouri are right there in the Class 3 poll. Blair Oaks right there at number 4. Followed by Centralia. Kennett moves down due to that Lutheran North going up to number 1 there. So Kennett goes down from 5 to 6 this week. Followed by Oak Grove, Southern Boone, Mount Vernon, and Cassville. And moving up to Class 4, Elias Catholic out of Jeff City still on top at number 1. Followed by West Plains, Hannibal, Festus, Lincoln College Prep, Smithville, Bolivar, a 2-way tie at 7 between Bolivar and Winnetonka. At number 9, Moberly, and 10, St. Dominic. Now for Class 5, we've got Carthage on top at number 1, the defending Class 5 state champion, followed by Perennial Power Webb City, Jackson, the Jackson Indians there at number 3, Green Valley, Battle, Platte County, Fort Zumwalt North, Farmington, Belton, and North Kansas City. Those are your Class 5 state rankings. And we got some teams that are competitive. Certainly Hayti up there at Class 1, Kennett in Class 3, and Jackson in Class 5. So I got some teams there once again in the mix in those state rankings this week. Now let's look at the district standings. The District 1 standings here in Southeast Missouri were late in the year, and now the district football tournaments are now depending on point totals for seedings at the end of the year, which really makes it exciting here when we get the last few weeks of the season. These point totals jump around, and just seeing how they all will end up to where these first-round matchups will play out in these district tournaments here in a few weeks. So let's take a look at those updated standings that do reflect Friday night's game. So these are the current totals moving forward to week number 8 coming up in Class 1, District 1. St. Vincent on top at number 1 with a record of 4-1 and just gotten right at 59 points, followed by Thayer, who's 5-1. Their only loss coming to Hayti. They've got nearly 57 points, and Hayti, they're number 3 and undefeated. If these seeds do hold out, Hayti will swap with Thayer. That's one thing in the district tournaments. If you defeat a team head-to-head and you're neighboring in the district standings, you actually automatically leapfrog them despite what the point total is. So if that still holds 2 and 3, Thayer and Hayti, Hayti would vault Thayer for that number 2 spot. Thayer would fall to number 3. Now if Thayer were to somehow surpass St. Vincent for that 1 spot, and St. Vincent would go to 2 and Hayti would remain 3, that would still hold. Thayer would still hold that number 1 spot, and Thayer the 3. It just matters when they are neighboring there in consecutive standings there in each district. That's when you swap. So following Hayti is Crothersville, then Malden, Portageville, Chaffee, and Crystal City. So this is an 8-team district. So 1 would play 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, and 4, 5. So your first round matchups there, if it were held today, would be St. Vincent, Crystal City, Thayer, Chaffee, Hayti, Portageville, then Crothersville, Malden, with, of course, the top seed hosting that first round game. That's in week 10. Now moving on to Class 2, District 1, East Prairie on top at number 1 at 3-2 with just over 40 points. Jefferson out of Festus following at number 2, followed by the Kelly Hawks. It's 5-2, over 38 points. Followed by Scott City, New Madrid County Central, St. Pius X out of Festus, then Charleston. Now this is a 7-team district, so the top seed will have a first-round bye, which at this point would be East Prairie. Then you would have 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, then 4 versus 5 in the first round of that Class 2 District 1 tournament. Now to Class 3 District 1, which we talked about last week and here just moments earlier about St. Mary's being the top number 1 seed after just 1 game. And as you see there, St. Mary's 1-0 after a victory over Class 6 opponents, St. Louis University High School. In St. Louis, they go up to 63 points in 1 game, and that's largely due to St. Louis University High being a Class 6 school, and I think you get 10 points per classification when the opponent you play. Now, St. Louis University High, that was their first game of the year as well, so that's why there's so many points. Now, when the thing is, they've only got 2 more games on their schedule, each St. Mary's and St. Louis University High, so just depending on how each of them do over the next 2 weeks, that point total could come down just for the sake of how well they're doing in their season going forward. But there's just not that many games left for those 2 teams, so you probably won't see a lot of point change based on the results going forward just for another 2 weeks. So St. Mary's on top there at number 1 with 63 points and 1-0. Believe it or not, they vault to the top with 1 win. And a couple teams here at undefeated 7-0. Valley Catholic at number 2. And Kennett at number 3, they're both 7-0. And there was just over a 2-point difference last week between Valley Catholic and Kennett, which they were 1-2 last week. But they're still pretty much just over a 2.5-point spread once again this week. But Kennett has a chance to surpass Valley Catholic, so they're playing Class 4 and Class 5 opponents over the next few weeks. And I believe Valley Catholic has, maybe a Class. They've got a Class 2 opponent in St. Pius X, and I think they've got possibly a Class 1 opponent as well going forward. So Kennett, just due to playing bigger classification teams, have a chance to surpass Valley for that 2nd seed. Now down the way, St. Genevieve at 4, Dexter at 5, Fredericktown at 6, and Donovan at 7. Now, this is another 7-team district, so the top seed would have a first-round bye. Then you'd have 2 versus 7, which Valley would host Donovan. Kennett hosting Fredericktown, then St. Genevieve hosting Dexter. That's kind of your first-round matchups at this point if the season ended today. And take a look at Class 4. Festus on top at number 1 and undefeated, followed by Hillsboro, North County, Cape Central, Sykeston, Perryville, and DeSoto. Now in Class 5, only 6 schools in this one, so the top 2 teams get first-round byes. That's Jackson, followed by Farmington, then followed by Poplar Bluff, Seckman, Melville, and Oakville. So at this point, Jackson and Farmington would have first-round byes. Bluff would play Oakville 3 versus 6, and then Seckman would play Melville 4 versus 5. So that's the tentative matchups there if the district tournament would start next week. So again, those district matchups are the 10th week. The first round district matchups are the 10th week of the season. There's only 9 regular season games, which we got 2 more weeks of Missouri high school regular season football. Then that 10th week is the first round of district play. So a lot to look forward there to in 3 weeks. Really looking forward to those matchups and see how they all play out, especially that Class 3 District 1. It's just wild that St. Mary's is going to have 3 games, no more than 3 games for a regular season. After just 1 game, they fall to number 1. We'll see if they can hold on to it. See if Kennett and Valley can challenge them for that 1 seed, and also secure, what's just going to happen between 1 through 3. All those teams could go undefeated the rest of the way, but it's just all up to the points to see how they all play out for those top 3 seeds by the end of the year. And that's just after 2 more weeks. We'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting to see how all that shakes out in Class 3, District 1. And let's take a look at our broadcast schedule going forward. Like I said, we've only got 2 more weeks of Missouri high school football in the regular season. And the one next week, we've got October 16th. We've got Perryville at Dexter once again in Dexter. Next week, you can catch it here on Channel 21 as well as our online platforms. And we'll be down in Piggott once again next week as the Hoxie Mustangs come to town, one of the top 3A3 schools in that conference, taking on the Piggott Mohawks at Parker Field. You can catch that online at yhctv.com and our YouTube page as well. Big matchup for the Piggott Mohawks and probably the top team in the conference, and Hoxie coming to Piggott. Then the next week, October 23rd, we've got Sykeston at Kennett. Sykeston at Kennett at Metz Cherry Stadium. You can catch that here on Channel 21 and our online platforms as well. We'll be looking forward to going back down to Kennett. Then the next week, October 30th, that is the first round of the district tournament. Right now, we've got that open. So it just depends on what matchups take place, where we'll possibly bring a district game there on October 30th. We'll see what happens. But then our last scheduled game of the year is the Rice Bowl down in Clay County, Arkansas on Thursday, November 5th. The Rice Bowl between the Corning Bobcats and the Piggott Mohawks. We'll bring that live right here on Channel 21, also at yhctv.com and Facebook Live. Should be a great matchup there for the Rice Bowl in Piggott. Battle of Clay County there between Corning and Piggott, and we'll bring it live to you right here on YHC on November 5th. So there you go. Very interesting week we had this week, especially the last night's games in high school football. Really mixing things up going forward. Really looking forward to these last few weeks into district play. We've got quite a few teams that can really make some noise in postseason football once again this year. Really looking forward to seeing how our local teams fare going forward. So that's going to wrap it up for us today. We appreciate you for tuning in as always. Look forward to seeing you right back here next week with us with another roundtable. And until then, I'm Tyler Wagner. Have yourself a great weekend, everyone. Take care and a great week.